welcome everybody. ChartAddicts podcast, ExpertTrader. Today we have Lisaldo, Tavarez, Mr. Teacup himself joining us. Lisaldo, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, man. What's going on, man? I'm excited to be on this podcast. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, 39 years old, and I've been trading Forex for the last 5 years. In the midst of those 5 years, I came up with a strategy called the Teacup strategy, which is basically one of the easiest strategies to trade right now in Forex. And one of the most popular ones that is used right now in Forex. Now, I've been able to help massive amount of people. Not only help massive amount of people, also help myself. So it's been an amazing journey. It's been an amazing ride.
How'd you get into Forex? How'd you get introduced into Forex?
I actually saw a friend of mine, his name is Gary Roberts. I saw him post a chart on Facebook in 2015. And me being curious, started asking questions. What is that? And he gave me access to his group at that time. He had like a little Forex group. And I started watching some videos and I just started doing it.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Wow, that's crazy, especially seeing how far you've come since then. How far a simple Facebook post took you. That's really crazy.
It's pretty crazy how just being curiosity gets you rich.
For sure.
Right?
So I want to talk a little bit about you as a trader. I know a lot of people that watch this podcast are going to be curious. You describe your Teacup strategy, but how would you describe yourself as a trader? Are you, you're an aggressive trader? Are you a short-term trader? How would you really describe
I'm really a short-term trader. I try to get my pips and get out the market. I don't like to be in the market so much, for the simple fact that the longer that you stay in the market, the more of a chance you have to lose money or not make any money. So I like to just be in and out of the market, to be honest with you.
Have you always had that philosophy, or is that something you learned later on as you started to grow?
I think as I came up with the strategy, that's how I started changing. Because sometimes you're waiting for these long moves and you could be there all day and sometimes it never happens. Yep. So I think just coming up with my strategy helped me, get that type of trading mentality where just get in the market, get your pips and get out.
No, that's great. So how would you say that your journey went? So at what point would you say there was a breaking point where you kind of shifted from, or were you always profitable? Or did you start off being unprofitable and kind of start up into it? How'd that journey kind of go about?
My first weekend ever with a live account in 2015, I remember it was a Friday. I used my Best Buy credit card. So got $500, used my Best Buy credit card, right? And when I used that credit card, I put the $500 in the account that Friday. In the morning, I traded a little bit. I probably made like $250. Then that Sunday, markets open. I really didn't know what I was doing and the lot size that I was putting in. So I put like a 1 and 2 standard, and I was up like $12.50, right? And then I went to sleep on that Sunday, and I thought I closed out a trade, and I didn't. And when I woke up, my account was at 0.
Wow.
That was like the worst feeling in the world. I mean, that was like that like basically popped my cherry on blowing your account. But I wasn't profitable for a while. I didn't change the corner in March 2017.
Okay.
That's when things started changing for me and I started actually making some money.
What was that shift for you? Was it finding that new strategy, or was it learning something about yourself?
It was basically perfecting my strategy.
Okay.
That's what it was.
I just have a quick question. When you blew that first account, what made you want to keep trading? What made you say, okay, maybe I can figure this out? Or did you take a break from trading and then come back to it?
No, because I saw that I went from 500 to 1250. So that right there made me a believer.
Okay. So seeing those
Even
initial...
though I lost it, but I know it was possible that I can actually double my money.
Awesome. No, that's great. Now, okay, so real quick, for the people that don't really know you at home, explain to them a little bit about how Forex has changed your life personally. How has Forex really impacted your life and allowed you to improve?
Well, can you see me good? Or is it kind of good?
Yeah, I can. The podcast might be posted as an audio.
Okay.
So don't worry too much about that.
Well, as far as for me, it's changed my situation. I went from being homeless, being sleeping on my aunt's couch for a couple of years, sleeping on people's couches, to now, being a millionaire, being able to live in this beautiful penthouse, travel where I want to travel, live a tremendous life. it's really changed my situation. Not only has it helped me, become, wealthy or rich, but it's also helped me, understand like the journey and the grind that it took me to get here, and it just it motivates me to help others, because I know other people are probably in my situation or have been in my situation. So it's like, for me right now, it's just helping people come up,
No, that's great. That's great. And a lot of you guys watching at home, I don't want that to go over your head. He did say that he went from being homeless to then becoming a millionaire. And now that he's at the point where he feels like he's understood this game and he's really at the top of his game, which is really why we invited you out here. We're trying to get traders that are really at the top of their game. And now he's decided to turn back around and help people that were in his old situation. So that's really great, Lisaldo. That's amazing to hear. That's one of the most inspiring stories I think that I've ever heard. So what really drives you to still trade now? Do you want to keep growing your account? After you get to a certain point, and a lot of traders are watching at home, after they get to a certain account size, what do you think what drives you to keep trading and to keep, wanting to get better?
Well, I mean, I think more than me is just to keep my skills sharpened. I think when you get to a certain level, you don't trade as much. You don't need to trade as much. I'm being honest. A lot of people won't tell you that, but when you reach a certain level, you don't need to trade as much. You're not constantly always on the charts. I do have an app, so that's the only reason why I'm on the charts on a daily basis. But I trade the calls that I give out. I don't try to overtrade. I think I just try to keep it as modest as possible. I treat it like a job. So like I don't trade as much, but I trade.
Yep.
Because it's not even about growing your account at this point. It's about just staying consistent, making the money you need to make, and then living the life you're trying to live.
Okay. Could you touch up on that a little bit? Like the importance of just living the life that you want to live and just making enough money to be able to do that in trading, whatever that might look like for someone, whether it's on their own terms. Like, do you believe that it'd be better to make less money trading on your terms or more money at a job? What would be your philosophy as?
Oh, no, less trading on your terms.
Okay.
That's definitely true. Because at the end of the day, honestly, it don't take you that long to make what you make in a job in one trade. It doesn't in a week. Like you might in one trade make in a trade, which most people make in a job in a week.
For sure.
So, like for example, yesterday I was on a gold trade. I put one standard on a trade. I made 1620. So I made 162 pips. I made 1620 on a standard yesterday on a trade. That was just one trade that I took for the whole day. $1,600. Most Americans don't even make that, a week.
No, for sure. For sure. So that's really important, for sure.
So you could just take a trade like that and call it a week.
Okay. Yeah, less is more, guys. Less is more. If you guys are hearing this, less is more. That's a huge lesson that we're learning today. Now, usually, Lisaldo, I ask a quick fire round, but I want you to go into some of these in depth because I really value your kind of your insight on this. There's three main things that a lot of traders have the same questions on, which is withdrawals. Kind of when do I take withdrawals? When do I pull money out of my account? Stop losses. We hear some people say put a stop loss. Some people say don't put a stop loss. We'll start with those two and get to the third one. But what would you say is that the withdrawal strategy? Do you have a standard strategy?
Yeah, you want to withdraw every Friday. Your goal is at the end of the week to withdraw at least, if you did in doubles, even if you withdraw 10% of your account, 20%. But I mean, if you made money, whatever you made, at least try to withdraw at least half of it. Maybe 20% if you're trying to compound your account. But I'm a firm believer that I start off like what you should start off doing is pick a bill, right? Pick a bill. It could be your phone bill. And try to withdraw that this week trading, And then next week, pick another bill and try to withdraw that. And then little by little, you'll start paying all your bills in 1 week. But you want to get there gradually,
Wow.
And as far as your second question was
about stop losses. So, when you get to your level, when you get to a little bit of a more expert trader level, we see people throwing larger lot sizes. So where does a stop loss play into your trading strategy? Do you use one or do you just stay on the charts since you're kind of an intraday trader?
No, I use a stop loss. Sometimes I don't, and when I don't, I get in trouble.
Okay.
So that has really humbled me to always use a stop loss, because unless you see, if you have an account of 20, 30, 40,000 and you got 0.20 on a trade, 0.50, yeah, maybe you don't need to put a stop loss because, I mean, you're going to have to lose a lot of pips to lose all that.
For sure.
So you might wait for it to come back. It might take a day or 2, 3 days because you're in drawdown, but you shouldn't trade like that. You know, you should always put a stop loss and minimize your losses, you know, because you can always get it back.
That's awesome. That's amazing. All right. Quick tip to a novice trader. So let's say somebody is listening to this. They're in their first 1 to 4, 5 months trading. What kind of advice would you give them about sticking through this, or kind of things to avoid from your perspective?
One thing to avoid is to try to learn too many strategies. You know, stick to one thing, perfect that one thing. You know, you ever heard the saying, jack of all trades, master of none, right? So when you try to do everybody's strategy because it works for them, my teacup might work for me, this person's strategy might work for them. So you try all these strategies and you're constantly losing. Just pick one, and whether you lose for a while on it, master that one, and eventually you'll get all your money back that you've lost.
Okay. That's great advice, guys. Keep it simple, one strategy. Now, to a trader that's a little bit in their middle ground, they're kind of on the boom and bust cycle. So they do seem to have a few winning weeks and then just seem to do something dumb, blow it all. And they just don't know if trading's really for them because they've been doing it long enough where they should get it. But they're kind of on just to where that point where they're on the other side of the tunnel. What would you give advice to that person?
Well, the one thing about trading will test your intestinal fortitude. Honestly, it would test everything you have, you know, because there's a lot of emotions when it comes to trading. There's a lot of discipline, there's a lot of patience. But listen, sometimes when you decide to quit, that was going to actually be the time where it was going to turn around for you. You know, this trading is not easy. You know, I might make it look easy only for the simple fact that I have an easy strategy, but trading is not easy, and you're going to lose, and you got to be prepared to lose. I always say you have to lose before you win.
Wow, that's powerful.
And if you're not built to lose, especially money, then yeah, this is never going to be for you. But if you understand that you stay consistent, and eventually one day everything's just going to click, and you'll be surprised how fast you'll get whatever you lost back. Whether you've been losing for 6 months, for a year. You know, I went a year and a half without making any money. So imagine if I would have not still with it.
Wow. You mentioned a few of those things, which is the intestinal fortitude and kind of just being able to stay with it, having that persistence. What would you say are those top qualities of a successful trader? So you yourself are a successful trader. You obviously know a lot of successful traders. What would you say are the underlying commonalities between like successful traders?
Well, I always tell people this: there's 3 things you have to master. Number 1 is discipline. If you're not disciplined in your own life in general, how are you going to be disciplined trading?
Wow.
You know, you're not going to be disciplined trading if you're not disciplined in your own life. Number 2, you got to have patience. You know, you have to wait for your trade to set up, for the setup to happen. And sometimes people don't have patience because people just want to be in the market because they're looking at it. Sometimes you might be looking at a chart and you might be looking at the market and it might be hours before you even get into the market. You know, some people can't do that. Some people, because they look at it, they have to have that rush that they got to be in it because they're looking at it. So patience is a virtue, is key. And number 3, you cannot be emotional. I never say never marry a trade. Never marry a trade. You're better off marrying a spouse before you marry a trade. Because at least a spouse will leave you heartbroken, but a trader will leave you heartbroken and broke. So you don't never want to marry a trader. That's why you cannot be emotional when it comes to trading. You cannot be emotional.
All right, I hear that. I definitely hear that. I really appreciate that advice, guys. Top 3 things: discipline, patience, and emotional stability. If there's one thing that you guys can start focusing on instantly, it's those 3 things. Lisaldo, is there anything that you've learned recently from trading that trading has taught you? Or do you feel like you're at a point now where you're kind of on cruise control?
No, I'm always learning every day.
Okay.
Because every day you have to channel those 3 things that I told you: discipline, emotion, and patience. Every day you're fighting yourself with that. So every day you're learning because every trade, doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter if you make millions. You always fight those 3 things that I told you every single day when you're looking at the charts. it's discipline, patience, and not being emotional. You fight that every day. So every day you learn about yourself, you know, because I have days where I slip up and all three things go out the window. And those are the days that I lose big.
Yep.
So every day I'm learning. You can never master this.
Okay.
You know, you can always work on it every single day.
Okay, no, I definitely hear that. When it comes to you having those days where you do take an extraordinary loss, do you feel like now how fast does it take you to bounce back? Do you feel like it's easier now for you to just get back on the horse and just get back in the mindset than it used to be for you when, you know, maybe a year ago?
I always been like that.
Okay.
I think I always been like that, just playing sports and being being a competitor in sports like I was. You know, a loss is a loss. You just got, all right, you lost. It sucks for the moment. Move on to the next. It's like I always tell people like this. Like when you lose a trade, you gotta see imagine you're a quarterback, right? You're a quarterback, you throw an interception. Cool. Your team gets the ball back after a certain amount of plays. You can't think about the last interception. So you're not going to pass the ball now because you think you just threw an interception. Got to keep throwing the ball.
Wow.
So that's how I trade. Like I can't worry about my loss. It's like a quarterback. Like, okay, I threw an interception. Like I got to keep throwing the ball. I got to keep trading. You know, so I don't dwell on the losses.
Oh man, the quarterback mentality. That's amazing. That's really amazing. So I have some of these. Those are mostly like the general questions that I had for the podcast, Lisaldo. Is there anything that you want to talk about, like when it comes to how trading has impacted you, what's trading allowed you to do in terms of travel and things like that, that might inspire some people at home?
Yeah, trading gives you freedom. You know, the one thing about trading that it gives you the freedom, the time. You know, I always say there's people that might have money but might not have the time. You know, with trading, it gives you both. Now it depends. There's people that trade from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. I usually my take-up strategy is pending orders, so I usually just put a sell limit and wait for it to activate. You know, if it activates, it does. If it does it, then it does it. You know, and when it does, I have a stop loss and it take profit. So I always look at it like this: once my trade is active, it's only going to do two things: either going to hit stop loss or hit take profit. So I'm not going to be worried about it. You know. So I'm able to just make my trades and continue to live my life.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Using that time freedom, that's great. Lisaldo, is there anything else that you'd like to add for the traders? Anything that you want to advise some younger traders coming up?
Yeah, definitely. Stay with it. Like I said, stick to one strategy. Stay with it. Put in the time because you'll reap the rewards. In the future. Put in the time right now. Don't get discouraged. That's one thing. Sometimes you'll get discouraged. And the number one thing I tell people: don't look at nobody else's account, because then if you made $20 and then that person made $500 on the same trade, you won't be satisfied.
Yep.
With the $20 you made. You got to be grateful for whatever you make. Because that person that made $500, he also one day made $10 off the same trade. But as his journey kept going and he kept trading more and building his account, that $20 that you made today in a couple of months could be $500 in a couple of weeks. You don't know. So I always don't look at other people's trades. Don't look at what they got in their account, what they made. Just focus on what you made for the day. If you made 20 and I made 100, so what? You still made 20, and you build from there.
Wow, that's really awesome. Lisaldo, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We're going to include all links. If you guys want to connect with Lisaldo, if you guys found value in everything that he said, we're going to include links to everything that you guys can use to find him and to connect with him down in the comments. Lisaldo, Mr. Teacup himself, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you, man.